On June 13, 2005, the city of Benejúzar in Spain was experiencing a quiet evening. 55-year-old María del Carmen García was waiting for the bus, lost in thought as usual. Suddenly, an elderly man approached her and leaned in, asking, "How's your daughter?" The moment Garcia met his gaze, she lost control. She went to a nearby gas station, bought some fuel, and without hesitation, poured it over the man and set him on fire. At first glance, it appeared to be a horrific murder, but tens of thousands of people soon found justification for her actions and launched nationwide campaigns to prevent her from being punished. But why did Maria do this? Everything began 7 years earlier, in 1998. María del Carmen García was preparing lunch with her husband and their 13-year-old daughter, Verónica Rodríguez García. She asked her daughter to go out and buy some bread, but when Verónica returned, their lives would turn into a nightmare. As Verónica left the house, she encountered their neighbor, Antonio Cosme, a 62-year-old man about to get into his car. He greeted her as she passed by, but then grabbed her and forced her into his vehicle. Terrified, the young girl had no idea what was happening. Cosme drove her to a secluded wooded area, where he threatened her with a knife and assaulted her. Afterward, he brought her back to the neighborhood and left her in front of her house, threatening her not to tell anyone about what had happened. But when Verónica didn't return home for a long time, her worried mother pressured her, and Verónica tearfully revealed what Cosme had done. This incident would shatter not just Verónica's life, but also those of her parents. The family immediately went to the police and filed a complaint against their neighbor. The investigation revealed physical evidence and marks on her body that confirmed her accusations. However, despite this, some in the community sided with Cosme during the legal battle. Many people, convinced that the elderly man from a prominent and respected family couldn't have done such a thing, insisted that Verónica was lying, despite all the evidence. After a 2-year trial, Antonio Cosme was sentenced to 9 years in prison in 2000. However, the slow pace of the legal process and constant societal pressure placed immense stress on the Garcia family. During this time, Maria was even admitted to a psychiatric hospital for a period of treatment. 5 years passed. In June 2005, Antonio Cosme was granted a 3-day leave from prison for good behavior. The first thing he did was return to the town. That evening, while on his way to meet friends at a bar, he spotted Maria at the bus stop. Approaching her with a smirk, he mockingly asked, "How's your daughter?" Maria couldn't believe her eyes. Her faith in justice had already been shattered by the 9-year sentence, but seeing the man responsible for their suffering just 5 years later, acting with such arrogance, drove her to madness. At first, she couldn't say anything. After Cosme mocked her and continued on to the bar a few buildings down, Maria turned toward the gas station across the street. She bought a bottle of water, emptied it, and filled it with gasoline. Then she walked into the bar. Without saying a word, she approached Antonio Cosme and in one swift motion poured the gasoline over his head and set him on fire. Cosme was severely injured and rushed to the hospital, where he fought for his life for 11 days before succumbing to his injuries. From that moment on, a debate erupted in Spain, dividing public opinion. One side argued that, despite the hardship Maria had endured, no one had the right to take the law into their own hands, and that she should be severely punished. However, others took the opposite view. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse during her trial, cheering in her support, and tens of thousands signed petitions demanding her release. The trial lasted 5 years. In the end, the court sentenced her to 9 years in prison, just like Cosme. However, considering her psychiatric history, the judge ruled that she had experienced temporary insanity at the time of the incident and reduced her sentence to 5.5 years. Her sentence was postponed at times, and she entered prison twice for short periods. In 2018, María del Carmen García was finally released. The story of María del Carmen García raises complex issues of justice, revenge, motherhood, and society's views on women. What do you think? Was Maria justified? What would you have done in her place? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. Goodbye.